Hello and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture we start the configuration of the Cisco ASA firewall in order to have it ready for connectivity from the Windows management station through ASDM, so basically to the graphical user interface, so that we will configure for the IPsec VPN side to side to the HQ site. So first of all, we'll have to configure IP addressing, and we will also configure the IP on the internet router. So let's finish with that first. So gigabit 0 by 2, interface gigabit 0 by 2, it has the IP address of 100.100.100.101 and it's a /30 mask, so 252, and I will say no shut, and also write the configuration, and that's it. So configuration of the internet cloud router, anyway, it's done. Now let's jump to the Cisco ASA. So right click and I will say console, just increase a little bit, and let's do the configuration. So enable, no password, just hit enter, and let's start with gigabit. So would you like to enable anonymous or no? Good. So interface gigabit 0 by 0. This is the WAN facing interface. First of all, for Cisco ASA you have to provide a name for the interface, and we will say this is outside. Let's see an IP address now. So IP address 100.100.100.102 and 255.255.255.252. Also no shut. Let's now also configure gigabit 0 by 1, so the LAN facing interface gigabit 0 by 1, and let's say IP, no, first of all, do not forget the name interface, name if, because otherwise it will not work, the interface will not be initialized. So name if, we'll call it inside, and now we can say IP address, what, 192.168.3.1, 255.255.255. Yeah, it's a /24.0. Good. And if you now say show name if, you can see that we have two interfaces and management as well. So the name, show run interface, management 0 by 0, name if management 192.168.1.1. This is not good. We will say interface management, let's say interface management 0 by 0. The IP address is 172.30.100.1 255.255.255.0. So and let's say also write to save the configuration, show interface IP brief, and let's see all of the interfaces. So we forgot to I forgot to do a no shutdown on this one, on gigabit 0 by 1. I will do it right now. Up, this is the IP address, perfect. So let's go now, configure terminal interface gigabit 0 by 1 and say no shutdown. And let's check again. So show interface IP brief, perfect. So all of the three interfaces have the necessary IP address configured and they're in the up state. Perfect. So now one last thing to do. We have to enable something, and you will see exactly what I mean, on the Cisco ASA, so that the Windows machine can actually connect through HTTP. So from a browser through ASDM or basically through an HTTP or browser in the first place if you don't have ASDM configured, and then when you install the software on your PC through that user and password that we will define on the ASA, you will be able to configure your ASA device. Anyway, the configuration needed is this. So we'll have to define a username, let's say Cisco, password Cisco, and privilege 15. We'll also have to enable HTTP, so HTTP server enable. This means that the ASA now accepts HTTP connections. And we also have to say, well, so what's the subnet IP that the HTTP request will come from? So if you now say HTTP and question mark, for the first row here, hostname or ABCD as the IP address, it says the IP address of the host and or network authorized to access the HTTP server. So I will say now anything, although it's not good to do it in the production, and I will say that the connection will come through the management interface. And you can see that we have a management a connection from the management interface to the Windows station. So I will say just enter now and again save the configuration. One last thing to do is to test basically ICMP connectivity between the Windows machine and the ASA, and also check to see if the browser loads the ASDM or loads the interface of the Cisco ASA. So let's go and do that. Let's go to the Windows machine and open up command prompt. Let's see, can't remember exactly, probably I haven't configured yet. Yes, I didn't. So we have to configure the interface, the NIC card for the management connection to the ASA. So the last one is disabled. So I'll say enable now. And let's say also properties, and once it loads, let's go to TCP/IP IPv4 properties, and the IP address that should be configured is 172.168.100.100. So let's do that. So use the following 172.168.100.100, and this is a /24, and I'll just click OK and close this ones too. And now let's check again and see if we have the IP address configured here. Yes, it is. Now let's try to ping the management IP address of the ASA, and we have reachability. So you can see here on the desktop that I have installed already Cisco ASDM launcher. So if you just double click it, something will appear here in a second, and anyway we will have the possibility to connect to the ASA. So the IP address, username and password, remember we have just defined it, and so on. But if you don't have the software installed in the first place, you'd have to go to a browser. Again, the ASA has been configured to act like an HTTP server, and you'll say 172, in this case 30, 101, no, 101. And you can see that it's just like you would connect to a website. So click advanced, then proceed, and here is the ASDM interface. So you have the option to install ASDM launcher now, or run the ASDM launcher and install the ASDM software. So run Cisco ASDM as a local application. Once you install the software and you have it available on your desktop, like you can see here, you can use it with to connect to whatever ASA you have. It doesn't matter, so it's not one software per ASA. So username Cisco, let's also say password Cisco, and I will click OK. So do you want to continue? Connection is untrusted. Anyway, we know what it is, so just click on continue. And now the Cisco ASDM IDM launcher should start. Let's wait. Software update completed. And we should be provided with the user interface, and here it is. So basically now, just a short recap, we have configured IP addressing on the Cisco ASA, both on the public or WAN side and also on the private or LAN side. We have also configured access on the management port through ASDM from the Windows machine. So basically we are now ready to start the configuration both of the HQ FortiGate and the Cisco ASA firewall for the IPsec VPN site to site. So thank you for your time and see you in the next lecture.